So is Tian Lang going to be the game changer for Vault teams in the global server? Is he actually worth pulling for? In this video, let's talk about his entire kit and some of the different lineups we can use him for. His shatter in global is 12.5 and the charge is a bit on the low end at 8.0. Since this is only the test server, things could still change upon release, and if ever nothing is changed, it seems like it's gonna be difficult for him to be the main on-field DPS due to his low charge rate. But of course, that will still be situational. Anyway, let's just check it out. So his skill deals a lot of damage and gives an additional 6% volt damage buff for 25 seconds. And that will be for every other additional volt weapon in your loadout. And so overall you get 12% with 3 volt weapons. The discharge damage is also insane. Moreover, both the skill and discharge electrifies the targets. And so here's what's unique about Tian Lang's Fatality Mechanics. Every volt skill or discharge consumes 30% of the current HP and 45% of it will be converted into attack damage. Electrified enemies also get extra damage based on the 5% of your missing HP. There are certain limitations to these, so it might be better to balance your HP and attack depending on the circumstances. And although it sounds risky, I believe that it would be okay for the most part because after 8 seconds or whenever you're super low, you will automatically regenerate 5% of your missing HP. And that will be every second for 8 seconds. And so as long as you continuously use volt skills and discharge, the regen will also be continuous. And so another important thing to know about Tian Lang is that his normal attack gives 1 charge point every 4 attacks, and that will be up to maximum of 5 stacks. These are used for his dodge attacks to deal additional damage, which is also based on your missing HP. Anyway, let's check the weapon advancements. At A1, it can charge Superconductor stacks. You can get one by gaining a charge point, and each stack gives additional 7.5% max HP, but in return, you will receive 2% more damage. It can accumulate up to 8 stacks and you will lose 1 stack if you don't refill it within 6 seconds. However, it's quite difficult to stack these with Tian Lang's normal attack alone. But don't worry because this problem is gonna be solved by A3. At A3, every volt skill or discharge gives 2 stacks of charge point and Superconductor. And at max stacks, you will also gain immunity to control that will help you move better and fight continuously. My recommendation is to get at least a minimum of A3 if you're planning to use this weapon. And what's good about Tian Lang's advancement is that A1 and A3 already unlock his game-changing abilities, unlike other weapons where these are locked behind A5 and A6. In the case of Tian Lang, A5 and A6 only give additional damage output. At A5, you gain 1% final damage for each Superconductor stack, so it's gonna be a total of 8%. And at A6, you get 10% additional volt damage for each additional volt weapon instead of 6%. And now for his matrices, you gain additional volt damage and a frequent chain lightning effect at 2-piece. And at 4-piece, you're gonna get additional volt damage as well. These effects work at the offense slot, so I would recommend using it on weapons that are not frequently used in your rotation. And so based on what we know so far, it seems that Tian Lang's specialty is about buffing the team with additional damage and additional unique mechanics. Most of his advancements and mechanics also work offhand, meaning they work even if Tian Lang is not on the field most of the time. With this, I believe that his main role in the global server is actually a Volt team amplifier. He's also good as a Volt Shatter weapon and would work pretty decently as an on-field DPS since there's no available weapon yet to power creep the current available main DPS anyway. And speaking of lineups, Lin and Tian Lang have a great synergy because they allow spammable dodge attacks. In this setup, Lin would be the buffer and off-field DPS. Nemesis is the healer and also an off-field DPS. And Tian Lang would take the role of main DPS, buffer, and shatter. And for the pure Volt team in the current patch, Tian Lang works great for quick discharge damage and shatter burst. In this case, Samir or Crow can be the on-field DPS, and Nemesis will still be in her usual role. On lane-based lineups, you can also use Nemesis as main DPS using dodge attacks for faster healing to set up for Tian Lang's Discharge skill. Lin will still be the buffer and the off-field DPS, and Tian Lang is for quick shatter and additional damage. And so overall, Tianlang is looking great and would be a lot better when a new limited main DPS becomes available in the near future. For now, I believe that his utility for Volt teams is not yet in its fullest potential. There are also uncertainties on how he can be utilized in the future patches, but these are still just speculations at this point. And so that will be for this video, and in case you have questions or you need recommendations, feel free to comment down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Tower of Fantasy contents.